biological test to determine if someone has autism. It's only symptomatic. There are 18 questions that you have to answer, and only based on the response to those questions can there you go. But there's no blood test. No. And of course, doesn't show any of those symptoms. It's been very hard. So, yeah, I have three children. Two have autism. But it's all the same spectrum. It's all on the same neurological spectrum, as they call spectrum. So, of course, on one hand, is the kind of on the far side,
y la gente como le cree. No, y le siguen creyendo, ¿no? Y le siguen creyendo y les dice, dejen entonces, si quieren, están en la cárcel, yo les vendo la salvación.
Bipolarism, stress, and anxiety. All of that is in the same spectrum. But what I can't tell you is the parents of autistic children deserve it. They deserve to win the award of the world. Oh, you got it. The drink? No, that's not mine. That's Ricky's. That's Ricky's. No, this is not mine either. I'm not sure what this is. Is this one from the office?
Jason.
It looks like it. Anyway, sorry about that.
Told them about his very life
Very common. Very common. I'm going to talk about the solution to that today. CBX4 and of course Silky Smooth together. And the CBX4 Super Infused Collagen 4. Have you heard about this? You've not heard about Super Infused Collagen 4 yet?
Okay, so I gave
that's the CBX4 single concentrate, not the super infused collagen 4. That's a different product. CBX4 is available in different products, like I'm going to show you here, but the sublingual concentrate that I think they gave you, which you said you it's one of 4. The one I'm talking about is the super infused collagen 4. That's the product that has a lot of not only those 4 medicines, but also high levels of collagen to restore physiology of the skin in all 3 layers: dermis, epidermis, and subcutaneous. It's going to work. I promise that. And of course, as we all know, money back here.
Lagyan niyan doon. Kasi lahat ng products labas na. Lahat ng products.
Less than that. In fact,
Okay now?
Concentrate all of those medicines and extract all of those medicines and create from that just an handful of products. That make 8 or grow 8,000 plants. To make just a few thousand CBX4 supplements. That's the one you got there under the tongue. And CBX4 super infused collagen. It's important for us to grow some that's because we have to extract
Ito yung
all
ulo
the
niya.
medicines from those
Okay, yan.
concentrate, so it is super powerful. That's
Kita yung
why
ulo niya.
Por eso, gawa ng sa pantas,
Yung ulo niya nakikita. Yung ulo niya nakikita.
Now that's of course visible on the outside of on the outside. Those things on the inside, like say, shall we say cancer, epilepsy, Parkinson's, perhaps it is some sort of neurological disorder. Some of those take a little bit more time when we're seeing it's going to work. In that case, we say within 30 days. So if it's on the outside, within 30 days. If it's on the inside, within 90 days. But both have the same. You got it working? There we go. Excuse me. Very nice.
Good.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Hello. Good afternoon.
Thank you. And I'm really glad everyone is here, although you have your hectic schedules. And because this is worth your time.
Oh, I've got my remote.
CB Expo that Mr. Jason is going to tell us about is a breakthrough in science. And this is really very important for us. Like most of us are in the health industry. And welcome everyone. Our guest for this afternoon is my compadre Rene Escobar,
Hello, Renee.
Hello.
Lily, yeah, Maria, Diego, and this side is Marge. She's a commissioner of education here in Clark County.
Hello, Marge.
AFBI commissioner is Marge, the beautiful Marge, and the beautiful Miss Dolly De Leon, the original Miss Dolly. And we have here husband and wife team, Mario, Elisa, and Melissa. Yeah. And of course our team, Ricky. Oh, of course we have here the beautiful Miss Belinda. She is a Medicare advocate. Yeah, Medicare, Medicaid insurance. Senior advocate. Whatever you need about getting an insurance, she can help you. It's Miss Belinda. And of course we have our team. Toto, welcome back. We just came from last night. And,
We sure missed you.
Aggie there. And Doclito, Amy, as well as my team, Ricky and Wilma. We are really very glad. They are our leaders here. And my son Joseph. And of course, oh my husband, son. And introduce to your speaker, Ricky. Ricky.
Good afternoon, and my name is Ricky Magno. I'm an active member with TruIQ Global, and thank you for coming to this pre-Super Bowl Saturday. And today,
That's fine.
take away from our president the new, from the old system that we've been going through as far as our healthcare and our financial stability, our financial independence. Hopefully, we will learn something new from the old system that we've been following through our life. So this is amazing, and I hope you will take it to learn something from our president, all the way from Utah, Mr. Jason Gully. And
Thank you, Ricky. I appreciate that, brother. Sorry about knocking that over.
Oh, no, that's
I hope
fine.
it wasn't me. I was trying to.
You're great.
To bring this down. So
That's okay.
Knocking it down.
I hope it wasn't me.
It wasn't you, it was someone else.
Okay. That's always my default. It was somebody else. My problem. I didn't do it. Well, thanks again for coming here today. It is so wonderful for me to have a chance to share with you why TruIQ is changing lives. We were having a conversation here before we started about why TruIQ even came into existence. And I think in order to understand that, you have to understand me. If you don't mind, I'd like to do one thing or two things. Number one, ask for a bottle of water. Can I have someone give me a bottle? Is that mine? Thanks, Doc. Okay. And number two, I'd like you to ask yourself this question. Do you have some sort of a physiological or emotional challenge you would like to overcome? Is there something about your body? Is there something about the body you live in that you would like to address? That's really why we're here. And as I wanted to begin by saying this, you deserve to know who I am. My name is Jason Gawley. I'm the president and co-founder of TruIQ. Our other founders are doctors. If you have a physiological problem, let's say you have cancer, like I had, or melanoma, or let's say you have pain, or maybe you have children who have special needs. So these things often bring us into different groups. For instance, in my case, when we were raising our 3 special needs children, my wife and I often went to what they called focus groups. And we would often go to these groups to work with and hopefully understand one another and develop and grow our relationships with one another, but hopefully solve the problems for our children or ourselves. Well, these groups, I know most of us have been part of. Well, it turns out that Dr. Carroll, who is a very famous also special needs children, and we became very good friends through some of those relationships. Same thing with Dr. Kirkland. The fastest and easiest and cheapest way possible, even if you don't have insurance. That's his focus. Well, he also has a special need child. So when he and I, and then of course Mr. Preston, because I knew him from years ago, all made that fateful conversation, that one fateful moment where we all came together, we had this single reason to understand one another, and that is this. We all seemed to understand that, yes, raising special needs children is hard, but there is a solution. Yes, if we on our own have cancer, if we have chronic pain, if we've had a lot of other weaknesses, it can be overcome, but we have to work hard at it. And I would guess that many of us here today are probably thinking, I've seen all kinds of ads on the web that say it fixes everything, whatever the it is, right? It seems like in today's world, it's really hard to find that one thing that can bring us all together and help us overcome our day-to-day challenges. May I see by a raise of hand, who here has special needs children? 2 of us. Okay, keep your hands up, please. Sorry, thank you. I'm going somewhere with this, I promise. Okay, keep it up. Next, who here has a problem with chronic pain? Okay.
Sometimes I have pain.
So may I ask you this? Who else of us here suffers from anxiety, depression, or emotional challenges? Who of us here would like to boost our immune system? Who of us here is concerned about viruses generally? So that's all of us. Well, thank you. You can put your hands down. Well, thank you for raising your hands. The reason I brought this up was simply this, that we learned here in TruIQ that the science, the very same science that can address and did address my chronic pain, my melanoma, my immune system, and helped my children overcome their autism and ADD and ADHD, all of those issues we found can be addressed in one place. Now, I know that's a bold statement, and I get it, and there's probably some of you here saying, that's not possible. My doctor told me that if I have pain, I need this prescription, and if I have, let's say, a weakened immune system like me, I need this prescription. We understand that today's world generally says, if you have one issue, you need one solution. And the idea that there's one way to overcome all those things we feel and all those things we have, I know it sounds really off the charts. I get it. If you don't mind though, please allow me just to share with you a little bit of information so that you can at least know what I know and what Doctors Kirkland and Carroll and Preston know about TruIQ. And members of TruIQ, you already of course know this, but you need to know the facts. We no longer have to wait for a solution. There is in fact a solution that can give us our lives back. So coming back to the reason I'm here, back in the 90s, I'm 50 years, almost 50 years old. Back in the 1990s, I lived in a place that today is all over the news, on the border between Russia and Ukraine. Yep, we hear about it all the time right now, about that conflict. Well, it turns out in that very same area is this little place called Chernobyl. Has anybody heard about Chernobyl?
Yes, of course.
Well, that's where I lived. 5 years, I lived right there. In fact, I hate watching the news because every time I hear about the conflict between the two potential forces coming together on the border, my apartment was right there. That's where I lived. And I lived there, like I said, in the 90s, 1992 through 1998. Yeah, I'm that old, so back in the 90s. And it turns out that having lived there, it seemed to affect me at the DNA level. I grew up as an athlete. I was a high school and college athlete, football and a lot of other things. So as an athlete, I was at the top of my game. Who here was an athlete? You remember what it felt like?
Yeah.
Right? When you're in your early 20s, I'm an athlete. No one can knock me down.
Yeah.
I'm handsome, I'm beautiful, I'm the strongest, I'm the bestest. Yes, I am. You can't take me down. And I thought, what's this stupid Chernobyl thing? Okay, yeah, so it blew up a few years ago. Whatever. Yeah, radiation, whatever. I'm an athlete. So 5 years later, after having lived in that area, I was able to get married and have 3 children. And I'm glad to tell you today that I'm still married to my first wife of 27 years. Thank you. Thank you. And my 3 children, 24, 21, 18. They're 3 years apart. So 18, 21, 24. All 3 of these children came to us after we lived, my wife and I, in that area in the former Soviet Union. Why am I bringing this up? For this reason. That even though I and my wife were both college and high school athletes, we somehow had 3 special needs children. Explain that. How is it that I could have an autistic child? How is it my daughter, or my wife, who was a gymnast for 12 years. How could she have an autistic child?
Was it
How-
the environment you lived in?
Well, that's the question, right? I mean, that was the question we were asking ourselves is, how is it that we, even though we were healthy, we lived the life that we were always told to live, exercise, diet, all of those wonderful things we did, yet somehow we had 3 children. All 3 of our children have special needs. Why?
Need to get yourself tested and maybe the combination of your genes and hormones or whatever.
Thank you for bringing that. May I trouble you to ask that to the whole group? Say that one more time. You asked me a question. What was it?
I asked if the 2 of you both were tested, that maybe a combination, your blood, chromosomes, genes, whatever, hormones,
Synergistic.
you know, might cause it.
Did you all hear that?
Yes.
Well, yes. Yeah, we did. And that is why we are here today. Because I want you to know, you deserve to know, that even if you are struggling with special needs children, or you yourself might be struggling from something like we also had, there is a solution. Even though the doctors will tell you you're in trouble. Your blood test tells us, Jason, that you are not going to live probably past 40. That's what the doctors told me.
Wow.
After my surgery in the 90s, when they removed my spleen, who knows what a spleen is, by the way? Spleen?
Not here.
You know? No. Most of us don't know what a spleen is. I didn't know what it was either. But it's a very important organ that all of us have that regulates your immune system. Your spleen is the machine in our bodies that makes our immune system work. Well, having undergone the life that I lived, and having taken a few of these, 1,000 of those, I grew a tumor in my spleen. And the doctors had to take it out. And my thyroid and a whole bunch of other stuff. Well, when I woke up after the surgery, the doctor said, "Congratulations, Jason, you're alive. But if you want to stay that way, if you want to stay alive after 40 years old, you have to do exactly what we tell you." And they gave me this card that said, you need this shot, this immunization, this inoculation, this treatment, this source, and it was a whole long list on this card. Not likely to live past 40 because if you don't do these things, then you will probably get pneumonia or some similar disease that will kill you. Your immune system is simply not strong enough or won't be strong enough to overcome such things. So do this, Jason. That's what they gave me. Well, I was 23 years old at the time. Well, here I am, almost 50 now. And having done none of those things. Not a single one of those because I hate needles. I think most of us don't like needles, but I have this phobia of needles. And after all of my surgeries, I can't go anywhere near shots, hospitals, any of that kind of stuff. But the reason, once again, I bring this up is that I and my family and my children have been put through something similar to what I'm guessing you can relate to. Maybe you haven't had a chronic health issue, or maybe you don't have special needs children, but you might be able to relate to me in the sense that I was given a death sentence years ago and told I wouldn't live past 40. When my 3 children were born, we were told you would have to care for them forever, and they will probably have to live in a retirement home by themselves. They will never live on their own. They probably won't speak to you ever. They certainly won't look you in the eye. So just Jason and Nancy, my wife's name is Nancy, so just expect that you will have to care for your 3 children for the rest of their lives. Prepare yourself for that. So you can imagine from my perspective, here I am thinking, I'm going to be dead by 40 according to the doctors. I have these 3 children with special needs. What am I going to do? Well, what I'm going to do is what I want to share with you here today. I finally found something that really works. Like I said, I'm almost 50 years old now, and TruIQ products that we were able to create from nature do in fact work, not just for me, but for everybody who uses them. Money back guarantee. May I show you some of those details? Oh, let me come back here. You might be wondering, well, what is this? Why are we looking at photos of a farm?
Plantation.
These are images from the CBX4 TruIQ plantation in Utah. Everything I'm about to share with you is grown here in Utah. These are the small baby CBX4 seeds that are just barely sprouting. And these are the sprouts, as I call them, planted right into CBX4 farms. 80,000 of them, in fact. So these little baby CBX4 plants, and we'll talk more about them in a moment, are cared for in our greenhouses up in Utah under our control and then planted also in the plantation. We have, in fact, 3 different primary seasons of the year to which you are invited. Who here has been to CBX4 farms? Ricky, you've been. Mr. Rene, you've been. Anybody else? You've not been to CBX4? Okay.
We will.
Before we talk about anything more, you need to know this. The source, the origin of all the products I'm about to share with you that have CBX4 in them start here. And you deserve, as a member of TruIQ, to know, to see, to verify, to prove that what you are buying is in fact real and grown here in the United States and made at the highest standard in medical facilities. You deserve to know that. So we have 3 visits every year. The reason I wanted to show you this is we're coming up soon on the planting season. Remember when that is? Those of you who've been to CBX4 farms, you know that the planting season starts around April. That's when we take all of the baby CBX4 plants that sprout like this and put them into the ground throughout the plantation. Let's call it April, May-ish. That's number 1. Number 2 is around July, we have the peak season. That's when you can come and see all the CBX4 plants in their glory. And then, of course, we have the harvest season, which is end of September, 1st of October. It depends on the climate, but harvest season. But we're coming up now, like I said, on the planting season, step 1 of the growing season of 2022. If you want to participate in TruIQ and believe in everything I'm about to share with you, then know that you can come verify it for yourself. May I ask you, Ricky, you were there, Mr. Rennie, I know you're running the camera. So, Ricky, can I trouble you to maybe come up here really quickly and just tell the group what it's like to come to CBX4 Farms? I don't mean to put you on the spot. So let me just ask you this. So you've been to CBX Farms?
Yes,
Twice. And which of those visits did you come to? You came to the harvest season, or the harvest visit, right? And the peak visit.
That's the harvest, was a month before the harvest.
That was the peak.
Full grown.
In July, right.
Yeah.
So can you share with the group, what was it like to see the source, the origin of all that I'm about to share?
Yeah, first of all, it's about 7 hour drive, more or less, from here, from Vegas to sandy, beautiful mountains, rock mountains. You go in there, and it's about 5,000 feet elevation where the plantation is. So that was amazing. And when we got there, it's already, like I said, adult, and it's all like almost 7 feet high, and you see this beautiful green plantation. That's just like remind me in the Philippines with all the rice fields and all that. But it's beautiful. It's really like nice atmosphere, and you are able to walk through it and watch what's going on there. But you cannot touch because it's very sensitive to human, right?
Right, you can't touch the plants.
So uh, it's a good experience, and I'm able to have lunch in the barn, big barn of Mr. Dolly, and we're able to tour in what's the other barn, the red barn there to dry.
Yes, where we store the
We
biomass.
store the biomass.
So how many acres did you see of CBX4 plants growing?
It's about, I know it's over 300, so it's about 350, right?
Correct, 330 acres.
Yeah,
Wow.
300.
That's huge. How many miles is that?
I tell you.
30 acres is what you saw, right?
Huh? Yeah.
And there were 33 acres when you came
Yeah.
of growing CBX.
grown
So when you
CBX
come
more.
to the farm, what's it like to walk around there and just see what's growing?
So there is, when I walk there, there's really like a many flags, like somebody planted the.
Yeah.
So what happened is you're able to, the first batch who came there, they're able to put their name in there and put the flag on those babies. So when the next time you go visit, you see that that's yours. Just remember when you put
That's
your.
right.
Oh, I don't see that.
Correct.
So in that trip, I was thinking myself, me personally, that if this TruIQ is, it's really, we are being shown to the source, and the farm itself, you know how we have the vitamins, we take a lot of things, we don't even know where they came from, could be different places. But here, you see the actual source of the things that you're taking. So that makes you feel really, I would say really believe on the things that you know it's safe, that it's natural. It's not something like they make something on it, because even the water system is filtered, clean,
Correct.
no fertilizer, and
Totally organic.
it's just organic, so it's amazing. So that's why I want to go back again. You may have a chance. This, like I said, April, May.
Thank you for sharing that, Rick. Exactly right.
Sorry, I have my earring in my ear.
So he said he wants to come back again. Now, what I don't think you saw on your 2 visits was, I don't think you were, and correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think you saw the planting season. You came, I think, at the harvest this last time, and you also were at the peak, but you've not seen the planting. And there are 3 different opportunities for all TruIQ members to come prove and see for yourself that everything I'm about to share with you is real, and you can not only see it for yourself, prove for yourself, but as Ricky was saying, you have a chance, if you come to the plantation at the planting season, to stake out your plants, the ones that you want to become part of CBX4. Out of all 80,000 plants that are in the ground, we will give you a flag. You write your name and your ID number on it, and you're allowed to walk through the entirety of the plantation. And those few plants that you feel connected with, the ones that you really believe are those that should become part of your future, you put that flag in the ground right next to that plant, and we guarantee that it will become, that very same plant by which you place your flag will become part of a CBX4 batch from which you can place your order. But I'm kind of getting ahead of myself here. We're talking about CBX4 and we haven't even discussed what is CBX4. So CBX4 is one of the 3 pillars upon which TruIQ as a company was founded. You see, what we know is, and you know this, right? I think every one of us here knows that there are 3 things driving consumer behavior. Number 1, people need to make money. We're all looking for a way to make some extra money. We need extra money, especially with inflation and all the other challenges we're facing. We're all looking for a way to make some extra money. Second, we see a huge shift away from people going to a pharmacy to buy their products to solve their health problems toward looking for a natural, proven, guaranteed solution that works better. More and more people are doing that. And third, we see that there's this huge thing called cryptocurrency that most of us don't understand. Most of us only know about in the sense that we hear some people are making a lot of money from cryptocurrency. So those 3 pillars became the foundation upon which TruIQ created the opportunity that you deserve to hear about. Our innovations as an innovative company with our doctors, scientists, cryptographers, all of us, we committed ourselves to solve those 3 issues and become the leader in all 3 of those trends. So let's talk about this number 1 trend there. We talked about CBX4 for a second. Let's talk about this trend. So as we mentioned a few moments ago, that we know that there are a lot more people going away from pharmacies and toward natural health solutions. May I ask you, have you seen any of that in your lives where are you hearing or seeing that maybe you or someone in your household or maybe your friends, they're saying, yeah, I need something to help me with my issue, but I don't want a prescription. I'd like to do it naturally.
A lot.
So you are hearing this?
Culturally, that's common to say.
Oh, that's common.
Yes, it's because, even from the way back, everybody was using, something natural, something herbal.
So how did we get away from that then? Why are people buying pharmaceuticals then?
No, up to this time, you go to the Philippines, you still find people doing the same thing.
It's
We have lots of plants or,
it's the physicians
Uh-oh.
writing medicine prescription.
So you understand then what I'm talking about. So you clearly understand that apparently people here in the United States, we're behind the Philippine curve.
You have people
People in the Philippines naturally want something natural to solve their health issue, and only in extremis, as they say, only in extreme circumstances will they go to a doctor. But of course, here in the United States, that's been different. Up until the last couple of years, most people, when they get a cough, or my knee hurts, or whatever, what do most Americans do? Hello, doctor? Yeah, can you give me a prescription? Can you, or maybe they'll go to a hospital. Well, as we've seen, that trend is reversing. And Americans and the world generally are now starting to believe more like what you from Philippines know is that nature is the source of all solutions. And in fact, all of pharmacology starts from nature. If you are a biologist, if you're a scientist, if you're a clinician, then you know that all medicines that are synthetically made in laboratories start from nature. You can only use the elements from nature to create whatever you want to create. It all starts from nature. But here's the problem, though. Up until now, most of us have been probably told that there is a natural solution to our health issues, and maybe we bought it, but it probably didn't work. How many of you have been in, or actually been invited to buy a natural product that was promised to solve your health issues, but didn't? How many of you have heard about all these natural remedies that are going to be so awesome, and you spend all that I deserve to benefit from nature without the risk, and know that it's going to work? We have to know it's going to work. So think about this for a second. Without raising your hand, I'd like you to ask yourself this question. Can you relate to any of these issues here?
Yes.
Do you know someone like me who had cancer, had melanoma, or kidney or liver failure, is on dialysis? Do you know someone who has blood pressure issues? Or, like us, as we talked, do you know someone with autism? Or maybe has heart or lung issues? Or do you know anybody today, do you know anyone today who is worried about getting a virus?
Yes.
Everybody.
Why? Why are we worried about getting a virus? Because the human body, the human immune system is capable of overcoming viruses. The only question we have to ask ourselves today is your immune system strong enough to fight off whatever virus it might be encountered with? That's the only question. What about these, though? Do you know someone who would like to sleep better? Do you know someone who wants to fall asleep, who says, I need to go to bed at 10 and wake up at 7, but can't?
Yeah.
Yeah. Or maybe someone who, like this, with the, I'm supposed to be asleep and it's 3 a.m. and why can't I fall back asleep? If you know anybody like that, then those people also can relate to these things. All right. Now, in my case, just to give you a little more background on me on this pain issue. So I had spine reconstruction surgery. I have 8 screws. Each one of those screws is 2.5 inches long. So that would be what, 7 centimeters? I have 8 of those screwed into my spine. I have 2 rods. These are titanium rods, about this long each, and 3 what they call cages. And I don't even know what a cage is, but I do know that they cost me $35,000 each. What I do know is that all of that, if you look at my x-rays, it's all screwed into my spine. Now, it fixed a lot of my health or a lot of my pain issues, but I still have recurring pain. Before my spine reconstruction, my left leg didn't work, I couldn't sleep, I hurt all the time, everything was numb. Now, well, as you can see me, that's been addressed. However, though, as you can imagine, having all of that foreign metal screwed into your body, it can result in long-term pain. Do you have long-term pain? Or maybe you, as a youth, you lived a rough and tumble life, and maybe today your knees or your back or your neck or your joints don't quite feel like they used to. And you have pain. Or what about anxiety and memory? I've got to tell you this, my friends. We've seen that over the last 2 years, from the time COVID-19 was announced until today, we've seen a huge increase in anxiety and depression. Over half of people polled who were asked this question, are you experiencing more anxiety now than before? Said yes. What's worse is 3 out of 4, 74% of youth, children under 18, said, yeah, I am way more anxious. I have more anxiety and more depression. And all you have to do is look at the scientific data and statistics that show the suicide rate. Have you seen what's happening to our children?
Yes.
You see what's happening to us? What's the solution? What is the solution? That's why we're here today. There is a solution. And the solution to all of these things, including the viral infection issue, comes from CBX4. Guaranteed. Now this slide, what you see here on the screen, is from what's called the National Library of Medicine. Who here knows about the National Institute of Health? Have you heard of it before?
Yeah.
NIH, right. So the National Institute of Health in the United States does a lot of research. They conduct clinical trials and aggregate clinical trials from all across the world, specifically in the United States. Well, one of the how shall I say this? It's not quite a study, it's a publication. We'll call it a publication. One of the publications they made not too long ago is
Journals?
just about this. Sorry?
Journals.
In the journal, right? In the National Library of Medicine, one of the publications they made, a journal entry. That's it. One of the journal entries. That's what I was looking for. One of the journal entries they made was about this: that today we can in fact protect ourselves from viral infections. So may I ask you this? If you know someone who's worried about getting a virus, do you think they want to know that there's something that can block the entry of viruses into their cells? We thought in TruIQ that yes, the vast majority of people today want to know that there is in fact a natural way to block the entry of a virus into my cell, into our cells. As a result, we want you to know about CBX4. So how does it work though? Think about this for a second, ladies and gentlemen. So do you have any pain or stress in your life?
Yes.
Do you know what your pain and stress do to you? Well, let me show you. If you have pain and stress that's not managed properly, it can also affect your diet. When you have stress and anxiety, you eat the wrong foods, you eat whatever to make yourself feel better, which causes, of course, illness, and that precipitates then depression and anxiety. Those are natural consequences of those things that we feel, and then, of course, it becomes then inflammation, which affects our genome, our DNA. All of that becomes this nastiness right there, and that right there, that is what you need to get out of your body. That representation is what most of us have because we have suffered from pain, stress, poor diet. We're not healthy as we should be. We're stressed out. We're anxious. We have anxiety, and our genetics are influenced, like mine were living near Chernobyl for all those years. All of that becomes this right there. I hope you're asking yourself now this question: how can I expel, how can I get rid of all of that thump that's accumulated in my body so that I can feel good, look good, and be happy and live the life I deserve. If you want to live the life you deserve, all you have to do is have a look at this. Look how CBX4 reverses just what I'm showing you here. CBX4 affects our genome, works at the DNA level, the cellular level, to create the ease, restore health, and bring emotional and physiological solutions back to what's called homeostasis. Homeostasis. That word means you're back to where you should be. In fact, Doc, can I trouble you to maybe mention to the group, why is homeostasis important?